Hello. See, I'm feeling very glamorous tonight. Why? Hello, everybody. So, hello, and welcome to episode 21. Let me swap out my phone for my actual glasses so I can see you and engage directly with you, and of course read my notes. So, welcome to episode 21. Hello, Jessica. Hey, Spence. It's nice to see you as well. Oh my gosh. Jim Whalen, it's like an embarrassment of riches, right? Speaking of riches, you're wondering, what is this incredible thing that I'm wearing? Well, today is entitled The Struggle is Real. Oh yeah, this is real. Liz Davis, my sister, brought this for me. This is one of the treasures we exchanged when we finally got to see each other last week, right? And lest you start writing me terrible letters, you should know that this is very, very old. She found this in a thrift store near her. And if you don't believe me, I will happily show you the tag, which proves it because it has a very fancy tag from Sears, right? That cigarette holder does not want to stay on that stool. Okay, so yes, this very fancy Sears tag right here that says, what does it say? Sears Fashions, Sears Roebuck and Company USA, from back when Sears was a really big deal, right? So this gorgeous thing, I'm gonna do what a diva would do and just throw it on the couch like that. So today we're talking about, speaking of divas, that was Aretha Franklin. So I'm not even gonna think about that too hard, Mr. Whalen, because you know, it already happened, so there's nothing I can really do about it anyway, but, yeah, it could be. So anyway, so that was Aretha Franklin, and that song was called Don't Let Me Lose This Dream. The title of this episode is The Struggle is Real, and we're specifically talking about struggles for women. It is, after all, Women's History Month, and also, oh my god, yeah. So you guys are more entertaining than me right now. So I need to remember that I'm trying to entertain you as well here. Okay, so Aretha. Speaking of divas, I've been kind of obsessed with Aretha because I've been watching, if you guys haven't seen this, I know there's also a movie coming out with Jennifer Hudson, but there's one with Cynthia Erivo, a National Geographic series called Genius, and they did a season 3 was Aretha, and I discovered it on Hulu, and I was obsessed, right? And learned all these crazy things about Aretha. And obviously, as you guys know, I've always been super interested in divas, queens of song. Oh yeah, totally. The queens of song, right? And she, if there ever was a queen, it was Aretha. But of course, what is it that makes it possible for some women to become legends in that way, right? There are good singers everywhere. What is it about the women who struggle through it, who survive, and who make it, right? And I've been sort of trying to think about what they have in common. And before I even get there, let me just say, happy Passover, which is happening this evening. Also, Palm Sunday tomorrow, and Easter next week. I know it's kind of a weird Easter because, things are weird, but it still is almost Easter, so let me not forget to wish all of you those things. So, back to struggling, right? So Aretha, your Tinas, your first name only divas, you guys know how I feel about Linda Ronstadt, Cher, all that stuff. How do they do it? What type of a person is able to go through what they go through to become the stars that they are? Because we kind of take it for granted that it was just inevitable that would happen, but it's not inevitable. There are plenty of amazing singers who never got to that level, some by choice. There's a singer called Barbara Dane who passed away recently, and there was an incredible article on her in the New York Times calling her one of the greatest singers ever, right? But she just wouldn't sign with the label, and she preferred to use her voice for protest. But anyway, what is it about these queens of song? Here's what I've decided. The ability to adapt, very important. Also, by the way, speaking of Tina, I think her documentary debuts tonight on HBO Max, so after I watch Maya Rudolph, on Saturday Night Live. I will probably be watching that. So you have to be able to adapt, the ability to withstand, because they are all tough as hell, right? You got to be smart, you got to be very brave, and extremely tenacious, right? And sure, some people may have a hit because of luck or family connections, but luck and family connections is not going to keep you going for like decades and decades, right? So that's what tonight is all about. I'm going to do some songs from some of the greatest queens of song, definitely with a country bent, but you know, that's kind of what I do, right? So let's start with one of the greatest of all time, and speaking of tough, Miss Loretta Lynn. All right, so Loretta Lynn, you know, if you don't know about her, just watch the movie, right? Coal Miner's Daughter, Sissy Spacek won an Oscar. It's a great movie. It tells you most of the things you'd want to know, but just a few facts to put this in perspective for you, right? The album that just dropped, she just dropped another album this week, if you guys don't know this, and it is her 50th? That's right. Her 50th studio album, I believe it's called Still Woman Enough, and I think we all agree that she is. She's had something like 70 chart-topping hits, both by herself and, you know, duetting with other people. She had 6 kids herself. She got married at 15. She was one of 8 kids herself, and it all started out with a $17 guitar bought by Dew, her husband, who, well, let me put this on and then we'll get there. So, the song I'm going to do, also one of the things about, speaking about tough and brave, is that Loretta, is that her songs were so controversial, speaking of women and women's issues, that they were banned on a lot of country radio stations because, you know, like The Pill, Fist City, Rated X, all that kind of stuff, right? So she was not afraid to speak her mind, which is part of the reason women loved her, and of course, men as well. How can you not love Loretta Lynn? I'm going to do You Ain't Woman Enough, which is considered one of her signature numbers and one of her biggest hits. And all of these songs talk about struggle in some way, and there are lots of songs that talk about like women struggling or in pain, but they were not written by women. So I'm picking songs that were actually written by the women who I think, oh, The Pill, yeah, I mentioned it. Like, that is crazy for that to have come out when it came out, is insane, right? Also Rated X, which is about being a divorcee, and anyway, it's crazy. She was, she's something else. So, You Ain't Woman Enough. To Take My Man, here's the thing with a lot of ladies I've noticed. Ladies with crazy careers and some of the struggles and pain they've gone through sometimes has to do with men that weren't perfect, right? And I am certainly not here to judge. Anyone who knows me knows I can't throw stones when it comes to that. But we all, I think, do need to acknowledge the fact that some of the world's greatest songs are the result of terrible relationships, right? So, you know, maybe that's just part of the recipe. If you want to be an incredible diva and write amazing songs that people can relate to, is that you need to be in a relationship with somebody who is, let's just say, not perfect, so you have plenty of material to write about. So this is one of those songs. You Ain't Woman Enough to Take My Man. You've come to tell me something you say I ought to know. That he don't love me anymore and I'll have to let him go. Well, you say you're gonna take him, oh, but I don't think you can. 'Cause you ain't woman enough to take my man. Well, women like you, they're a dime a dozen, you can buy them anywhere. For you to get to him, I'd have to move over and I'm gonna stand right here. It'll be over my dead body, so get out while you can. 'Cause you ain't woman enough to take my man. That's right. Sometimes a man's caught looking at things he don't need. He took a second to look at you, but he's in love with you. Well, I don't know where that leaves you, oh, but I know where I stand. 'Cause you ain't woman my man. No, you ain't woman enough to take my man. So don't even try it. Don't even try it, ladies. Maybe do ain't perfect, but you can't have them. All right, so that is our first incredible queen of song, Loretta Lynn, with one of her signature hits. Next, of course, is Dolly. And you don't need me to tell you about Dolly. There's information everywhere. We all love Dolly. I mean, what can I say, right? And if you did when I did the Dolly episode, like in the summer, if you haven't listened to Dolly Parton's America, it's the greatest. I don't even like podcasts really. Oh, thanks. I don't love podcasts really, but that one is incredible. So we all know Dolly Parton has suffered to get to where she was. We all know that she overcame some incredible obstacles, and we all know that she is a national treasure. So I'm going to do 2 of her songs that have to do with, I guess, 2 different kinds of suffering. The first one, the kind of maybe your man ain't perfect kind, and then the next, sort of a different kind, right? So let's start with her, well, you know what, I was about to say one of her most famous songs, but it's hard to even say that. She has so many famous songs. But there is a famous story about this one, that it was written the same week that she wrote I Will Always Love You, and it is the most covered. She has said personally that this is the most covered of all of her songs. Parsons where it is? Okay, here we go. This is Jolene. Jolene, 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 I'm begging of you, please don't take my man. Jolene, 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 oh please don't take him just because you can. The beauty is beyond compare, with flaming locks of auburn hair, with ivory skin and eyes of emerald green. Your smile is like the breath of spring, your voice is soft like summer rain, and I cannot compete with you, Jolene. He talks about you in his sleep, and there's nothing I can do to keep from crying when he calls your name, Jolene. And I can easily understand how you could easily take my man, but you don't know what he means to me, Jolene. Jolene, 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 I'm begging of you, please don't take my man. Jolene, 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 oh please don't take him just because you can. Well, you could have your choice of men, but I could never love again. He's the only one for me, Jolene. I had to have this talk with you. My happiness depends on you, whatever you decide to do, Jolene. Jolene, 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 I'm begging of you, please don't take my man. Jolene, 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 oh please don't take it just because you can. Come on, Jolene, be a sport. Don't take him. Okay, so that was Jolene. Next up, this is probably my personal favorite, only because I loved it so much when I was a kid. I used to listen to it all the time. Coat of Many Colors. So this is about, oh, thank you, about a different type of suffering here. And this is true, and this is authentic, and that's kind of why I picked these songs, because they are written by people who wrote these words because they really experienced these things. And even Dolly, the master of media, who's very cagey about Jolene, and sometimes she'll act like it really is true, and then sometimes she'll kind of hint that maybe it never was true at all. Who can say? We know that Dolly has dealt with some things, right? This is Coat of Many Colors. Oh, this one, I think this is the one. If you guys know, you know, the famous story. I think this is the one that she wrote supposedly on the back of the dry cleaning receipts when she was with, you know, Porter Wagner. So there you go. Okay, here we go. Back through the years I go wandering once again. Back through the seasons of my youth, I recall a box of rags that someone gave us, and how my mama put those rags to use. There were rags of many colors, every piece was small, and I didn't have a coat, and it was way down in the fall. Mom sewed the rags together, sewing every piece with love. She made my coat of many colors that I was so proud of. As she sewed, she told a story from the Bible she had read about a coat of many colors Joseph wore, and then she said, perhaps this coat will bring you good luck and happiness. And I just couldn't wait to wear it. Mama blessed it with a kiss. My coat of many colors that my mama made for me, made only from rags, but I wore it so proudly. Although we had no money, I was rich as I could be. In my coat, many colors my mama made for me. Whoa. So with patches on my breeches and holes in both my shoes, in my coat of many colors, I hurried off to school, just to find the others laughing and making fun of me. In my coat, many colors my mama made for me. And oh, I couldn't understand it, for I felt I was rich, and I told them all the love Mama sewed in every stitch. And I told them all the story Mama told me while she sewed, how my coat, many colors, was worth more than all their clothes. But they didn't understand it, and I tried to make them see that one is only poor only if they choose to be. Now I know we had no money, but I was rich as I could be. In my coat, many colors my mama made for me, made just for me. The struggle is real. It is real, right? And that's kind of why I was thinking about this week, trying to put things in perspective, you know. No matter how you slice it, it's been a real shitty year, but still, thank you. But I still, you know, try to think, oh, thank you so much. That was all that, like, Aretha, oh my God. So if you haven't watched this National Geographic, it's on Hulu, the series, Genius. I haven't watched the other seasons, it's just this one season. And speaking of, like, media, I said that about Dolly. That's another thing that seems to be, like, true queens of song that are able to last for decades, is being able to sort of dodge questions and answer them in ways that aren't going to alienate them while still being sort of authentic, right? And I learned a lot of things about Aretha, let me just say, and a lot of things that clearly she put a lot of time and effort into keeping from the media, so I'm not going to blast them on here, right? But oh girl, did I learn some crazy stuff, and I thought, well, you know, the suffering is real. So, speaking of suffering, for the grand finale today, I'm going to give another shot, speaking of, you know, tenacity and grit and bravery, at a song I tried to do for you guys, I think it was in the summer, and, you know, I'm hoping this time it'll be less like, oh, wasn't that adorable that she's trying to play that song, and more like, almost good, right? So, just for you guys, speaking of suffering, I mean, I couldn't even think of doing a song about suffering to become a diva. Fancy. This is Fancy. So not only is Fancy written by a really incredible lady named Bobbie Gentry, because as I told you, I'm also trying to just do songs this week that were written by women as well. There we go. So Bobbie Gentry wrote this, and it was a hit for her, a pretty big hit. The Ballad of Billy Joe was like her biggest one, but 1969 it came out for Bobbie Gentry, and then Reba, of course, covered it in 1991, and it was a big deal for Reba, right? And speaking of divas, also Oklahoma-born divas, I mean, Reba. She definitely goes in the category of first name queens of song, and technically, apparently, some people do refer to her as the Queen of Country. I'm not even going to touch that controversy as to who would be the real Queen of Country, but let's just say she certainly deserves all sorts of honorifics, right? Also learned that her father and grandfather were like world champion steer ropers. So there you go. No wonder she's so tough. So here you go. Here's Fancy. All right.
I turned 18. We lived in a one-room, rundown shack on the outskirts of New Orleans. We didn't have money for food or rent, to say the least. We were hard-pressed, and Mama spent every last penny we had to buy me a dancing dress. Mama washed and combed and curled my hair, and she painted my eyes and lips. Then I stepped into a satin dancing dress that had a slit on the side, clean up to my hips. It was red velvet trim and it fit me good. Standing back from the looking glass, there stood a woman where a half-grown kid had stood. She said, "Here's your one chance, Fancy, don't let me down." Well, here's your one chance, Fancy, don't let me down. Mama dabbed a little bit of perfume on my neck and she kissed my cheek. Then I saw the tears welling up in her troubled eyes as she struggled to speak. She looked at our pitiful shack and then she looked at me and took a ragged breath. She said, "Your pa's running off and I'm real sick and the baby's gonna starve to death." She handed me a heart-shaped nugget that said, "To thine own self be true." And I shivered as I watched a roach crawl across the toe of my high-heeled shoe. Sounded like somebody else that was talking, asking, "Mama," whoa, here we go. "Mama, what do I do?" Said, "Just be nice to the gentleman, Fancy, and they'll be nice to you." They said, "Here's your one chance, Fancy, don't let me down." Well, here's your one chance, Fancy, don't let me down. Well, forgive me for what I do, but if you are not, well, it's up to you. Now don't let me down, your mom's gonna bring you uptown. Well, that was the last time I saw my mom, and I left that rickety shack. The welfare people came and took the baby, Mama died, and I ain't been back. But the real fate had started to turn, and for me there was no way out. And it wasn't very long till I knew exactly what my mama had been talking about. I knew what I had to do, but I made myself this solemn vow that I was gonna be a lady someday, though I didn't know where or how. Couldn't see spending the rest of my life with my head hung down in shame. Oh, I might have been born just poor white trash, but Fancy wasn't my name. That's right, said, "Here's your one chance, Fancy, don't let me down." Oh, here's your one chance, Fancy, don't let me down. Lord, forgive me for what I do, but if you want up, well, it's up to you. Now don't let me down, girl, your mama's gonna move you uptown. Well, it wasn't long after a benevolent man took me in off the street. 1 week later, I was pouring his tea in a 5-room hotel suite. Well, I charmed a king, a congressman, and an occasional aristocrat. Then I got me a Georgia mansion and an elegant New York townhouse flat, and I ain't done bad. I say, right? Now, in this world, there's a lot of self-righteous hypocrites that call me bad and criticize mama for turning me out no matter how little it has. But though I ain't had to worry about nothing for now 15 years, I can still hear the desperation in my poor mama's voice ringing in my ears. She said, here's your one, can't fancy, don't let me down. Well, here's your one, can't fancy, don't let me down. Lord, forgive me for what I do, but if you want it, well, it's up to you. Now don't let me down. Oh, your mama's gonna get you uptown. Whoa, there we go. I said, don't let me down. Now your mama's gonna move you uptown. Well, I guess she did.
All right, folks. Right? It's great advice. So maybe in another 6 months, I'll try that again. You know, maybe by then there'll be actual live shows. It was still better than last time, right? That's how much I love you guys. I will not be here next Saturday, but I will be back the week after that. Thank you so much. Hey, it's getting better, right? If I want to be like those people I admire, I got to stick with it, right? And be brave. So, you know, whatever. It's getting better. Now, of course, I would never leave you without something fun to end with. It's going to still be Aretha, because I just can't get enough Aretha. And I'm sure after I watch the Tina Turner documentary, next time I'm here, it's going to be all about Tina, right? Oh, yeah, definitely. Okay, so here is some more Aretha for you. This is from 1971. I saw someone, a music critic that described this song as rock perfection, right? And or funky rock perfection or something, and I couldn't agree more. So I'm gonna funk you out with this while I gather my furs and my cigarette holder and bid you adieu. So here you go, guys. Rock steady. Come on, guys. Stay with it, guys. There we go. Bye, guys. I'll be in 2 weeks. Turn you off first.